Hello and welcome to another amazing episode of the Governance Discourse, where we try to bring you conversations about governance, which includes leadership, public policy, civic education, and a whole lot. And thank you very much for those who have been following the podcast. If you're a first-time listener, you're welcome. You're welcome. Today, we will be having a conversation about the Emerging Political Leaders Fellowship. If you've been following the podcast, I started with six fellowships that you should look out for in 2026. Amazing. If you want to build your capacity as a leader, if you want to learn more about politics, just to learn the workings, get experience, learn from seasoned leaders. And the Emerging Political Leadership Fellowship was one of those. Presently, the applications are on, and I have my dear sister who has been part of the program. She was part of, I think, the first cohort. The first
Yes,
cohort. Yes, she was
first.
part of the first cohort, Bernice Abeku. Yay! Welcome to the podcast. It's exciting to have
Good to be.
you. Yay!
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming to share your experience with us. Like, for those who want to apply for the fellowship, sometimes it's really good to hear from someone who has been a part of it. I know you were part of the pioneer cohort, but other cohorts have also come in. But it will be good. Let's start with knowing you. I know I introduced you as my sister, but it will be also good for our listeners to also hear about you as well. So, would you like to just give a brief introduction about yourself?
Okay. Again, thank you, Veronica, for having me. Hello, everyone. My name is Bernice Abeku. I am from Kaduna State. I work in Kaduna State. I work in public service as a special assistant to the executive chairman, Kaduna State Internal Revenue Service. I am not just a young person working in government. I'm actually passionate about governance in Nigeria, and I think that's how I found myself in this whole space in the first place. And yeah, EPLF has been one of those platforms that has helped me get to where I am today.
Wow, that's a huge profile. But I also like to start with people who don't even know what the fellowship is about. So, could you just tell us what the Emerging Political Leadership Fellowship, EPLF, is about and why you think young people should also apply for it as well?
Okay. Like the name implies, Emerging Political Leaders Fellowship. So I think the concept or the idea behind the Emerging Political Leaders Fellowship is to be able to train or raise a group of young people who can articulately participate in in politics generally in Nigeria. Young people who understand how the terrain works are able to immerse themselves into the process and like efficiently perform and thrive in that space. It is not news. Oh, these days it's getting a bit better, but it's not news that there's a huge space or a dichotomy between politics and young people. And growing up, I was taught that, politics is this dirty business. Oh, it's not for people. It's not for people who want to be good people in society. But let's face it, how do we fix that? How do you end up changing the governance issue that Nigeria has, if not through politics? Of course, there are appointments, but even those appointments require that you play some level of politics. And the goal that EPLF has is to raise people who can, you know, swim those murky waters and emerge as the best public servants, public office holders that Nigeria can have, basically.
It's interesting that like kind of the focus is like to build political leaders. And like you said, a lot of young people feel like politics isn't for me, it's a dirty game. And fellowships like this are changing the narrative. It would be also good to know like what was your experience at the fellowship? what when you went, what were some of like the expectations you had, and like going through the fellowship program, how did that play out as well?
Okay, thank you. So EPLF was not the first fellowship I did. I've been privileged to be a part of another fellowship before then. So I had a mindset about fellowships, especially local Nigerian fellowships. I I just went in thinking, oh, it'll just be one of those things. Yeah. But EPLF wasn't like that. The first thing I got to find was they threw us into a campaign on our very first day. No expectations. We were made to run amongst ourselves for the position of the class rep. I was not prepared. I tried to put myself out there, but there was this fear, and it was not surprising that I lost. I lost the elections, the impromptu elections. And so from the jump, you are taught to, bring your best foot forward at all times. Aside that, it also gave us a context of, where Nigeria is coming from, a bit of history. Coming from a science background, I didn't really know much about Nigerian history. But the EPLF did a good job of, giving us context. We had to go through not just history classes, but will I say analysis classes of why certain things, certain events played out the way they did from where Nigeria is coming from, pre and post independence, the 1991 and the 1999 emergence into democracy and all of that. So you are not just coming into politics without knowing where Nigeria came from. You have a full understanding of the journey so far. So you know where to place yourself and what role you can best play in all of that. So yeah, there's that. There are also, will I say, weekly assignments. At the time, I will say, I know that EPLF has gotten a lot better from the time that I was there, but you get weekly assignments and they are like, will I say, an assessment of what you have learned in the course of the week. You have all those classes, I think 3 hours a day, yes, 3 hours a day. And then at the end of the week, you do your assessments. You're expected to submit your assignments, and those assignments are graded. They are graded. You use Google Classroom. So it is displayed. Everybody gets to see everybody scores. It's like it's a very transparent system. I saw that in the last year they were even posting the results on their social media handles, so people get to track fellows' performance. And at the end of the day, there is a prize for the best performing fellow. So there is a very transparent process that you get to see. And then, or if you are not doing so well, you know when to sit up. If you are doing good, you know that, oh, I should keep this up or what I should fix in all of that. That was one of the things I liked about the fellowship. Amongst other fellowships that I've been in, I think EPLF stood out for that. There was also the opportunity to campaign for as a political party. So you appeared in groups, and then you would name your group a political party. You have to do the entire works for a political party. There's going to be branding, there's going to be social media campaigns. You do your videos, you speak to people, and then they allow the public as well to vote on those things. I mean, general public, it's through their social media handles, so you have to speak to people. It gives you the full political party experience in your own small circle. So it's quite, will I say, it's quite hands-on and pays attention to the very last detail. There was also the option for a shadow mentorship thing while I was there. So you'll get to be paired with a politician in your sphere. You'll get to choose the fellowship rights to them and gives you the opportunity to to have like a shadow mentorship session or period of time with them. So it's, will I say, it's a 360 approach to the whole thing. I think as at the time I was graduating from EPLF, I looked back and the lady who failed the campaign on the first day was not
Was not the same lady that left.
I'm proud to say, okay, you have a capstone assignment too at the end of everything. So you choose a role, and you are expected to campaign for that role. Like the whole works, you have a manifesto, whatever it is you think you need from the point where you decide in your mind that you want to run for that office, all the community engagements, the budget for it, how you intend to go about it, what roles do you want your volunteers to play, what platforms do you want to use, what softwares would you like to use, the entire works, the entire plan, you put it together and then you present it at the final boot camp. So I was so delighted to find that at the end of all of that, my manifesto came out one of the best. So if you look at thank you so much. If you look at the journey from the the green, politically naive girl that entered and the person graduating with one of the best festos, we can see growth and EPLF promises you.
I mean, it's interesting. Some of the things that I took from the conversation was when you said, bring your best foot forward. Like it teach you like on the go to be prepared. And that's what leadership is, right? Most times, like you said, the first day when if you're appointed to a position, most times you may plan and prepare for it, but it's the as you go there is what you experience. So, I mean, that experience of always being prepared and seeing how you can pivot whenever you face something, I think was good for me. Something I picked
Yeah.
as well was when you talked about a 360 approach, how it kind of like covers everything, right from campaigns to leadership to manifestos and the whole community service as well. That's really interesting. Another thing I would love to hear from you is, I mean, right now there's a constitutional reform to push the reserve seat bill and to increase the number of women in politics and even in leadership in the public sector. You're a really young person in the public sector as well, and trying to get your footing in politics as well. What what's that advice you would give young women out there who feel politics is a dirty game? It's not for women, you know, there's also that narrative being put out there of women not supporting women, how to address that and correct that narrative as well. But basically, what advice will you give young girls to say you can do it as well? Don't shy away from it. You may not know what to do, but just do it afraid as well. I just love to hear your thoughts on that for young girls.
Okay, thank you. Um, I would say, of course, where we are coming from as a society, as Africans, doesn't really do well for the average young Nigerian girl because from the jump you are taught to, or at least from my context where I was coming from, I was taught to, you don't speak in certain circles, you don't always share your opinions, and I think it dulled us. I don't think, not that I think it actually dulled us. It gave us this fear. So I think on that front, the reserved seats for women bill tends to give us a fighting chance, especially when you are in a male-dominated sphere. Politics in Nigeria is mostly male-dominated. So to find women who even dare to even just be around them and not to even campaign in the first place is bravery in itself. So the reserved seats for women bill helps with that. But above all, if I'm to advise any young girl, is look at history.
Mm.
We are built to do amazing things. The fact that emotionally and intellectually we are born several years ahead of men shows that there, God doesn't put a cap on what we can do. So the best thing we can do for ourselves is to prepare. For young girls, know that nobody will just throw an opportunity at you most times. You have to work for it. You have to build your capacity. Learn to speak up, even when you are in spaces where people tell you you can't. within you, just tell yourself it is possible. If there was one person, one woman ahead of me that did this, then I can. And even if there's nobody, then I am the pace setter that will pave the way for other women too. And then for the older women, people who have already found their footing, the onus falls on us, I would say us now, to to break the stereotype that women don't support women. And sometimes you find out that it's true. A woman in a woman in any leadership position makes it more difficult to be in certain offices or certain positions. So it falls to us to break that stereotype. Where we find an opportunity or where we have been gifted a platform, it is our job to make sure that it is easier for the next woman coming behind me to to walk in those shoes and even thrive beyond what I've been able to achieve. So yeah, the sky is not your limit, it's just your starting point.
Just the starting point. Amazing. I mean, something I would also like to hear is I know you spoke about the campaigns, you spoke about the capstone project, but for you, what was your best aspect? Was there any an aha moment? I mean, okay, so there are two questions in this one now. What was your aha
Mhm.
moment at the EPLF fellowship, right? What was that moment where you went, aha? And I also like to know, like, what was your best, I mean, aha moment, and what was your best moment at the fellowship? Or something you loved very well, or an experience that you had that was like your best as well.
So honestly, aha moment, I wouldn't say I have one. I would say there were several because I used to say before EPLF, I'll be like, I want to go into governance, but I'm not going to do the politics. I'll leave the politics to, those guys. And then maybe I'll just stay friends with them or something and just, get a technocratic office or something. So I think the shift in mindset in itself was already an aha moment. It was one gigantic aha moment, you know. And then for will I say best experiences when I got to work on projects with my colleagues. So I would say two of those kind of projects. The first being our community service. Will I say yes, community engagement, where we had to embark on a community project, something that helps the community around us. And at that time, it was 2022. We were preparing for the 2023 elections. So what that did for me was we're able to rally around with the fellows in Kaduna and Kaduna environs, and we had radio sessions with INEC officials telling people about the coming elections, demystifying certain myths, and just providing general clarity and would like to say some form of encouragement for those who had become kind of apathetic towards the coming elections. And we had like really good reviews. We found out that millions of people watched the program. We had people calling in, asking questions. So I'm really glad that that happened. It gave us an opportunity to connect with Kaduna people and then help them through the coming elections. But above all, I think it was beautiful for me because I got to work with some of my colleagues. EPLF is mostly virtual. So apart from your virtual interactions, you don't really get any one-on-one time with your colleagues. But that afforded me that, and it was quite a very good experience. We bonded. We established some very lifelong relationships. Most of those people I am still friends with today. I met one of them at an event recently, and we were almost hugging each other. It was beautiful. So yeah, there's that. I am grateful for the relationships that I built in the course of EPLF.
I mean, that's amazing because I think that one thing that fellowships do for you is that you form a new family, you form a new bond with young people as well, which is also very interesting because I mean, Nigeria is a large country, but don't mean having to be able to have friends everywhere is also something really interesting. But also, I would like to hear from you what advice, I think that that's what most people who would watch this would want to hear from you. What advice do you give to applicants who are applying? How should they go about their applications as well?
Okay. I know that seeing that I was from the first cohort and this like the fourth, yeah. course, there's been a lot of modifications, but if there's one thing that you should have picked from all of this English I've been speaking, is that EPLF values excellence. They are training the people who are expected to become the next generation of best politicians and public office holders. So they are expecting excellence from you. You have to bring that excellence to the fore if you want them to see that you are good enough to participate in this fellowship. That's one. Secondly, if you are like me or like me then, that you know that the government is not doing something that you expect, right, and you feel like you have or you could possibly be a solution to whatever problem it is that itches you, then you should be a part of EPLF. EPLF equips you with the skills you need to become a voice that changes that. So it may not look like much right now, but it's those little drops that add up. EPLF is that starting point. Don't shy away from it. This is where you learn to speak up, to show that, oh, I am good for this. People won't see it unless you are prepared to do that. And EPLF provides you with that. So yeah, bring your best foot forward.
True. I mean, putting your best foot forward is something that I think that all leaders should be able to do and just try. You never know what will happen and how you would learn and what difference that fellowship would make to you. Something interesting I also like to know is post the fellowship. What exists post the fellowship? What has happened? Is there an alumni association? How does EPLF continue the work that the fellowship does as well?
Yes, APLF is very much alive post the fellowship in the form of its alumni for the first 2 years. And through the secretariat, the way it used to be, now we're interacting amongst ourselves. And in those first 2 years, we were able to, organize projects that were, you know, fellow centered capacity. Those are the kind of opportunities that being a part of that kind of alumni provides to you. You'll find your co-fellows who are doing amazing things in different fields. You are able to partner with them on projects. You dream up big things, but being part of a network of people, capable people in different fields, it's limitless what you are able to achieve. And that's what we've been able to do so far, and we are still doing. I'm not a part of the alumni executive anymore. I stepped down last year, but the alumni is still being pushed by a team of very capable executives that are still pushing the interests of alumni forward. So that is what you stand to benefit post EPLF. You're muted.
Yeah, I saw. I realized that I mean that's something that's really interesting because like after the fellowship, most times you're like, then what next? What after? But it's interesting to know that after you can still give back as well as being part of the alumni as well, and have that connection and that bond with your fellows who were part of the fellowship. Really, really interesting. Thank you, Bernice. It was good to hear from you and, to interact with you as well. Um, I think that what's one thing or one word that, I mean, like, okay, maybe I should put it in two ways. So there's some people who would feel, what, Nigeria, there are a lot of young people who have lost hope in Nigeria, right? People will say, what, there's no need for me to get involved in politics. Why should I be in public service? Why should I hold leadership positions? Why should I? I mean, it's as bad as, affecting voter apathy to say, I don't want to even vote, right, in the elections. Um, what advice will you give to young people who say, what, politics isn't for me, leadership isn't for me? Um, I don't want to be part of it as well. I've lost hope in Nigeria. What advice will you give them to come back and ensure that they engage with the process as well? Because this is our country. We can't leave it for anybody else. This is our plan A and plan B as well.
Hmm. Some people will not agree with you for plan B, but okay. Well, like you said, it is home. You can travel. I used to be so mad at people that used to jackpot before. I was saying, but don't go. Who will fix it? In a way, now I kind of get it because the country just sometimes gets to you. But does that mean we should give up? No. The truth is, no matter where you go, nowhere will treat you like home than Nigeria. And so if you have a leaky roof, do you just pack and leave and never look back? You fix it. Because whether you like it or not, even if it's during Christmas, you will come and stay home. Something will bring you home. Or even if it doesn't, you will have relatives that can't leave. So what happens to them? So in that case, in whatever way you can contribute, well, be it as someone in the diaspora or here, find one way or several, depending on your capacity, that you are able to contribute to making this country better. Be it, you see someone who is just littering and you tell them, oh, don't do that. It's in the little things. And also in the big things, like coming forward to, join a political party, just contribute to the work somehow. So in whatever way you can, know that this is first home. And then you look forward to making home better in whatever way that you can.
Thank you very much for those words. But I just wanted us to speak about one last thing, the eligibility criteria. So what are some of the criteria that EPLF looks out for to be part of the fellowship? I know that you have to be a Nigerian. I know you have to have leadership qualities between the age of 25 to 35. They said applicants aged 36 to 45 can apply if you have a strong application. You also meet you want to run for public office as well, and you don't have a criminal record. But I just wanted you to like speak a bit about that as well.
I think basically that's it. But just to add that you should have a track record of leadership. Yes, you should be interested in leadership, but there should be evidence that you have led something, or yes, let's just leave it that way. Evidence that you have led something at some point in your life. One way you've been a class rep now, or you've been youth leader in church or something. Highlight it, sell yourself well. Yeah, that's just added. Yes.
Sell yourself. So thank you very much, Bernice, for taking out time today to be part of the podcast and sharing your experience from the Emerging Political Leaders Fellowship. So the applications are currently on. The duration is for 6 months. It'll be really good for you to be part of this fellowship as well. So apply, throwing in yourself like seed. And it's also good to always apply early. So apply early so you can, check all the requirements, fill in and tick the box. Don't rush your essays, I would say. It's easier for you as well. But thank you very much, Bernice, for taking our time today to be on the podcast. It was really love, as always. It's always good speaking to you and hearing from you. And we from the Governance Discourse wish you all the best in your public service. Thank you for the work that you do and continue being an amazing leader as well. And will I say good youth representative, if I might add. But thank you so much.
I admire your work. I admire everything you guys are doing, and I hope to see more of you in bigger spaces.
We'll see more of you. Please, we would want to have you on the podcast again very soon.
It'll be my honor.
Well, pleasure having you. Thank you. And this has been the Governance Discourse. If you have any questions, comments, please drop in the comment section. It will be good to hear from you as well. We will be answering your questions. I mean, I'll be wanting to do a question and answer session where I just have a conversation about the questions that I get and the comments I get from people, but little steps. But thank you very much, Bernice, for being on the podcast. It was such a pleasure. Thank you very much.